I've been a police officer here in Kenosha for 19 years. I did time on the road, and then I've also been a sensitive crimes detective. They asked me to come here today and kind of walk you through a case that I've had. So that's what I'm going to do. Hello, 911, what's your emergency? Yes, hello, can you please send somebody over to my boyfriend's house? I think that he might be hurting his kids, and maybe even himself. Ma'am, where are we going to? What's the address that you would like us to go to? Can you go to 123 Kenosha Road? Sure, and why do you think something's happening there? Well, because he's been really depressed and he is on drugs, and I need to make sure that the kids are okay. They're just little. Well, how old are they, ma'am? They're 3, 2, and 1. Okay, we will send somebody out right away. Thanks for calling. A few minutes later, the officer gets there. Hello, the police. Sir, can you come to the door? He hears nothing. Sir, it's the police. I'm here to make sure that you're okay, that your kids are okay. He can hear some moaning and some groaning. He can hear some kids in there, and every once in a while he'll hear, "Shut up, kids!" Now the spidey sense has gone up, and now you're coming to the door. Sir, I need you to come to this door. I need to make sure that everybody's okay in there. Eventually, he's able to develop a rapport with the man that I'm going to refer to as Mr. Depressed. And he opens a door, and the officer is met with an overwhelming smell, mixture of cat urine, spoiled garbage thrown throughout the house, dirty diapers. As soon as he gets in, he tries to make contact with the kids to find them, and he sees them. They're over in a corner, all 3 of them together. They're unkept. He can tell he probably had a bath in weeks. Hair is matted, and he can see that 2 of them are covered in bruises head to toe. He tries to have a dialogue with this Mr. Depressed, who is very intoxicated, so what he can get out of Mr. Depressed is that he has been suicidal, and he has been depressed, and he's actually been homicidal towards his own kids. So the officer calls for a couple rescue squads to come and take the kids down to the hospital to be checked out, and to take Mr. Depressed down to the hospital to be checked out. He also calls for some officers to come over because we need to take photos of the house, and so that all happens. Once they're down at the hospital, Mr. Officer calls for juvenile crisis and adult crisis, what Lisa Retzloff had told you about, because they got to decide what's going to happen. While they're there, Mr. Depressed admits to hitting the kids. In his own words, he said, "I've just lost it, and I was wailing on them." So juvenile crisis has to make the decision of where are these kids going to go. It's 11 p.m. They went through all of their tests. Obviously, their day was probably long anyway. They've been given food, they've been cleaned up a little bit, and they have some hospital garb, and that's all these 3 little kids have. See, those little kids aren't like our little kids. Our little kids have their favorite little stuffed animal that they're going to crawl into their nice warm bed with. And they don't have their cute little footy pajamas that Grandma bought them at Christmas. They have hospital garb when they're showing up. And we had found out that the mother was in prison, and so she wasn't available either, and they really don't have any friends or family. So juvenile crisis tells the officer, our foster homes are slim, we're full. I think the best place for them to go tonight is with the girlfriend that called 911. So juvenile crisis loads up the kids in her car and brings them over to the girlfriend's house and puts them there for the night. The next morning I come into work, 7 a.m., and get this report. I read through it, I look at the photos, and standing here today, I can tell you exactly where those bruises were on those kids. Because what he would do, what Mr. Depressed would do, is he would grab their faces so hard when he was screaming at them, telling them to shut up, he would leave fingerprints on their cheeks. And the 2-year-old, he had fist marks on his chest, because when he got really drunk, he used his 2-year-old as a punching bag. I would love to say that this is a rare case, but remember, I've been doing this 19 years. I've seen so many of these photos. too many to count. And I think the same thing every time. If this kid's alive, this is the real hero. This kid wakes up every day and faces evil. And he has a purpose. After reviewing the case, I called the Child Advocacy Center, which was explained because I have to set up these interviews. The kids are brought out there. I also called a social worker. We talk about the case, because like she said, we do work very hand in hand, we have to. And it is for the benefit of all these families. I tell her, oh, I don't really like this girlfriend situation. I don't think the kids should be placed there. She agrees. She immediately begins looking for a foster home. She finds one. And the foster home that she finds is a brand new married couple that have signed up to take in kids. So they haven't even had one kid, and now we're going to show up with 3. Here you go. Welcome to foster parenting. So at this point, I have Mr. Officer's report and everything that happened that night, and I have the crisis reports and everything that they have for their reports. I have the hospital, I have from the Child Advocacy Center, so what is left is for me to talk to Mr. Depressed and girlfriend. Well, lo and behold, my phone rings. And I pick it up, and it's Mr. Depressed. And he's calling from his hospital that he's at. And it's 3 days later, and he starts lighting me up. Who do you think you are? You can't take my kids. How dare you? Where are they? I'm kind of taken back. I'm like, this guy must have sobered up, because 3 days ago you were talking about killing yourself and killing your kids, and now it's all my fault. I nicely tell him a social worker will be getting in contact with him and telling him about his kids. But I'm doing a really thorough investigation, and I need to know how your kids got all those bruises. That would really help me out. Silence. So I say it again, hey, I really want to do this investigation right. If you could tell me how your kids that are with you all day long got all those bruises, that would really help me out. He begins to call me a bunch of colorful names, which I hear on a regular basis, so that's okay, and tells me to speak to his attorney and hangs up. So I can't speak to him. So I call his girlfriend. Girlfriend actually agrees to come in and talk to me. And she comes in and I ask her what's going on, what happened, how did we get here? And she's like, I don't know, I mean, it's just, he's been unraveling in the last couple of months. I'm like, well, unraveling how? Well, he's just been taking a lot of prescription pills, so he sleeps all day, and then when he's awake, he's yelling at us, or drinking, or hitting me, or hitting the kids. And actually, he's been saying, don't be surprised someday if you show up here, and the kids are dead, and I'm dead. I'm like, can you say that again? And he says, yeah. Don't be surprised if you come here someday, and I've killed the kids, and I've killed myself. At which point, I lean in and I say, have you called us before? You've called the police before and told us this, right? Her eyes get big, well up with tears. She kind of drops her head, puts her hand on her stomach, and she says, no, I haven't. I'm pregnant, and I don't know what to do. And I say, okay, why is this time different? Why are you telling us this time and not the other times? And she says, well, my mom found out about all of this. And my mom said, if you don't call, then I'm gonna call. Okay, so time out from the story. At this point in the interview, when I'm listening to this, I'm like, thank you, Jesus. I wish Mom was here. Somebody had a brain. If Mom was here, I would hug her, right? Just always do that next thing. Encourage those people that are telling you these stories at work or at church or whatever to make those phone calls. Because who knows what would have happened if these kids didn't have this lady pressure her to make the call. So thank you, Mom. Back to story. So I had to go over the statement with her. She agrees to sign it. I let her go home. Mr. Depressed is eventually charged with hitting his children and abusing them. He was found guilty in the courts and sentenced to prison. The brand new foster parents that never had any kids, they actually went through the system and were able to adopt them. That's the end of this story. I hope that I took you on a journey and you could kind of see how these kids went. And I just want to leave with this. My name is Felicia, and I just happen to choose to be a cop. I have a very strong faith, like many of you here do. I believe that I was built, and it's my responsibility to talk to these kids. I believe it's my part to talk to the predators that hurt these kids. I believe it's my part to put a nice little package together to bring to the district attorney's office so they can prosecute these bad guys. But what's not my part is to bring them home at night and give them a warm bed. What's not my part is to give them 3 meals a day. What's not my part is to tell them that they're special and that they have purpose. That's your part. And I really hope and pray that after today, that you feel built to do your part so I can do my part. God bless you guys. Thank you.